The old jeep rumbled down the deserted highway, its headlights cutting through the thick fog like dull knives. Inside, 4 friends, buzzing with nervous energy, joked about their ghost-hunting adventure. Liam, the group's leader, gripped the steering wheel, his eyes scanning the road ahead. Beside him, Sarah, the pragmatist, scrolled through her phone, checking for a signal. There was none. In the back, Emily, the sensitive one, shivered, clutching a worn teddy bear. Across from her, Jake, the joker, filmed their every move with a shaky hand, his face illuminated by the camera screen. "Getting anything good?" Liam asked, his voice barely a murmur over the roar of the engine and the rhythmic thud of the windshield wipers. Jake shrugged, his eyes glued to the camera's viewfinder. Just fog and more fog. As they drove deeper into the night, the fog grew denser, swirling around the jeep like living tendrils. The air inside the vehicle grew heavy, thick with anticipation and a creeping sense of dread. They had been driving for hours, following Liam's hand-drawn map to the abandoned town of Eldamore, a ghost town with a dark past, whispered to be haunted by restless souls. It was the perfect subject for their YouTube channel, The Ghostly Chronicles, dedicated to exploring the unexplained and the eerie. Finally, through the swirling grey, a weathered sign emerged. Its faded letters spelled out a chilling welcome. Welcome to Eldamore. Population departed. A shiver ran down Sarah's spine. "This is it, guys," Liam announced, his voice tight with excitement. He parked the jeep at the edge of what was once the town square. Silence descended upon them, broken only by the rasping sound of their own breaths. Stepping out of the vehicle, they were greeted by an oppressive stillness, the air thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. The fog clung to everything, shrouding the deserted town in an eerie, ethereal glow. Skeletal trees lined the dilapidated main street, their bare branches reaching out towards them like grasping claws. The buildings stood like forgotten sentinels, their windows dark and empty, their paint peeling like scabs. The only sound was the mournful sigh of the wind whistling through the gaps in the buildings, a lonely symphony for a ghost town. It was as if time itself had stopped in Eldamore, leaving behind a desolate tableau of forgotten lives and lingering mysteries. "This place is creepy," Emily whispered, her hand clutching Liam's arm. He patted her hand reassuringly, his gaze sweeping over the abandoned town. "Don't worry, Em. It's just an old town, probably deserted for decades." He tried to sound confident, but even he couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had settled upon them. Jake, however, was in his element, his camera darting from one decaying building to another. "This is gold, guys! Pure gold!" he exclaimed, his voice echoing in the unnatural silence. "Our viewers are going to freak out when they see this." Sarah, ever the voice of reason, pulled out her EMF reader. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We haven't even seen any ghosts yet." But even as she spoke, her gaze was drawn to a flickering shadow that danced at the edge of their vision, disappearing as quickly as it had appeared. They decided to start their exploration with the most imposing structure in the town square, the old town hall. Its once grand facade was now crumbling, the clock on its tower frozen at 11:15, as if time had stopped for Eldamore at that exact moment. The heavy oak doors of the town hall groaned open, as if disturbed after decades of slumber. Inside, dust motes danced in the faint rays of sunlight that pierced through the grimy windows. The air was stale and heavy, thick with the smell of decay and the weight of forgotten memories. Cobwebs draped the once ornate chandeliers, and the only furniture left was a few broken chairs scattered around the room like fallen soldiers. As they stepped inside, the silence was broken by a series of faint whispers coming from the far end of the hall. They spun around, their hearts pounding, but there was nothing there. "Did you hear that?" Emily whispered, her eyes wide with fear. Liam nodded, his brow furrowed in concentration. It sounded like whispers, coming from over there. He pointed towards a darkened hallway, its entrance half hidden by shadows. Jake, ever the daredevil, was already halfway down the hallway, his camera light bouncing off the walls. "Come on, guys, let's see what's whispering." As they cautiously made their way down the hallway, the whispers grew louder, swirling around them like a ghostly chorus. The air grew colder, sending chills down their spines. The walls were adorned with faded portraits of stern-looking men and women, their eyes seeming to follow the group's every move. At the end of the hallway, they found themselves facing a large, ornate door, its surface covered in what appeared to be scratched-out murals. The murals were faded and difficult to make out, but they seemed to depict scenes of chaos and terror, of shadowy figures and burning buildings.